So DXY is having a hard time at that big old level. So 104,500-ish, the big level we've been talking about, particularly on the daily, weekly chart. Actually, it goes to the weekly, see a bit better. So the move I'm looking for the USD is not necessarily a big sell-off back to the low, although eventually I think that might happen. I'm just looking for the retracement of this bullish leg here. We've had such an expansive bullish leg here. The market's likely to retrace. So this was the area I'd be looking for the market to retrace from, hence why I was buying Euro USD last week. And we sort of had a reaction now. Yeah, price had a big up move there on Friday. Yeah, Friday. And then today it opened up very, very bearish. And the market, is looking pretty bearish since then. So if we keep this up, there is definitely room to the downside. But then again, who knows what's going to happen this week before the news. In terms of the technicals anyway, I still do expect a bit more downside in the market pulling back this move. It probably will be pretty corrective. I'm not expecting us to completely drop. Of course, depends on the news. But I do think there probably is a bit more room to the upside for USD to fulfill. We might just be going through a bit more of a prolonged pullback. I mean, if I whip out the Fibonacci from the low to the high, the 50% is all the way down there around 102.4. So there is potentially room to actually fill that move before we do see some upside. Not necessarily expecting price to get there, but there is that room for us to see that downside. So I'm looking for a bit more downside there for the dollar, and then possibly a push up, and then some sells on Euro USD, of course, taking the opposite of the move. So if I quickly touch on Euro, I do like the level up here, which is 109,400, is it? Yeah, 109,400. So that's the area I'm looking to take some shorts from. That's actually the area I had as my take profit last week, but unfortunately, the market trailed me out before that happened. And very unfortunate because it trailed me out, and then it looks like it's gapped to the upside, and now it's looking pretty bullish again. So very unfortunate there. But if price was to slowly make its way back to 109,400, I will be looking to take some shorts there to try and catch that next swing to the downside. Because the buys I took last week, I'm just trying to take advantage of the retracement of the move after such a big drop there for Euro. We're trading FX here. It's very unlikely that the market sustains all that momentum, particularly in these conditions as well. If I expand to like the weekly chart, you can see how choppy the market has been this year. So very unlikely we're just going to see a prolonged down move. I mean, that was a pretty big one, but even that snapped back to the upside as well. So was looking for that reaction, came into a nice area of confluence as well last week with these higher lows, first, second, third, looking for the fourth test. Came into a nice daily support there as well on the left. Testing that low there. So it was a nice place for a buy. The market has retraced. Now I'm looking for it to go a little bit further, test 109,400. And from there, I will be looking for some shorts to take it back down again. And that's kind of the move I'm looking at for a lot of the USD pairs at the moment. Looking for the pullback of these big bearish moves now for some shorts. Again, not looking for anything crazy. If I can get moved back to the low, I think I'll just call it a day there because the long-term bias is a little bit up in the air. With the dollar, at least for me anyway, especially with the news events we have coming up. I kind of want them to do their moves, have their fun, and then I can reanalyze and see what the market's giving us and maybe set a bias for the end of the year. But USD overall is just a very sideways market as well. So trying to predict too much in these conditions is always going to be a little bit difficult. But naturally, since we've come up to some higher prices, bigger levels of resistance, I do expect to see some profit taking. But there is still room to the upside for us to push back to the upside into. So for Euro USD, as I said, looking for shorts up at that level. Hopefully we can see maybe a push from to tomorrow's news into that level, and then I can look to sell. If we take a look at Aussie dollar, for example, this one, again, I'm looking for an up move, then some more downside. Again, another USD pairs, which has completely tanked the downside in the past few weeks, and now I'm looking for a bit of an up move to short. I'm not looking for the retest of this low here. It's just a little bit too shallow for my liking. Not that it can't potentially reject price and we see some more downside. I just want a slightly healthier pullback before I do get involved, which is why I like Euro a little bit better, because that one's got more room for a pullback, more healthier pullback. Therefore, I can expect a nice reaction in my direction. Aussie dollar, it could just go for a quick retest of the low and continue, but I would like a little bit more upside. if I'm going to get involved. Not seeing a clear-cut level, so I'm not that sold, but Aussie may just hold onto that level and then continue, but it's not big enough pullback for it to fit my plan. So that's why I wouldn't be looking to get involved, but it's still a decent opportunity. And if USD is going to be strong, it doesn't depend on my preference of which level it sells from. This could be the area that sells price down. So I would keep an eye on 0.664. New Zealand dollar I do like. I'm just not too sure if it will pull back all the way I want it to. Again, I really like this low here, which price uses support, big move to the upside. We've since broken through that. And if you notice as well, since we have broken through, the market's been very, very corrective. If I whip out a nice descending channel here, you can see the market ever since that break, we saw a lot of momentum, and then the market starts becoming very corrective and very tight. So it tells me that a pullback is likely to happen at some point. How big of a pullback, that's a different question. But if it does manage to come back and retest the low, I think that's a really nice place for a short. I'll keep an eye on some areas there for some entries, stop loss above, and again, see if I can take it back into the low, because if I scour to the higher time frames, I do think longer term, we're probably just going to see a move back into the low here on the daily chart, which is 0.58692. Looking at the bigger context of the market, all we've been doing is fluctuating this year. So in my eyes, there's a very high chance we come back and retest those lows. So still looking at a bit more downside for the USD. Like the opportunity there for the short. We'll keep an eye on it. Very similar trade to Euro, and of course they're both USD pairs. Pound USD, not so much keen on this one either. We had a nice bounce off that daily high, which is now acting as a support now. Nice bounce off there, but I'm not expecting the world from Pound USD because, again, we broke structure not long ago. We had some really nice, healthy bullish structure from the low to the high, to the higher low, to the higher high. Broke structure since then, so I do expect the bigger move to be to the downside. But first, we may still go for that pullback and then the drop. So that's kind of what I'm looking for Pound USD. In terms of an area to sell, again, we do have this low here, but it's just not big enough pullback for me to look at it as a short, as a good short for me anyway. It's a similar situation to Aussie dollar, whereas you've got a nice level we've broken through. The market may reject this area and sell off, and that may well be the play, but it's not big enough to fit my plan in terms of how stretched I want the market to be before I do get involved. But it's a nice area of confluence, strong level of support. Market's pretty consistent with these lower highs. So if we're going to stay within these confinements and the market's going to stay put in those lower highs, there is some nice confluence there, similar to the Aussie dollar trade. And there could be a nice move to the downside there as well. But what would be nice, though, if we can kind of break out of that, maybe a mini uptrend forms, and then we put that next major lower high on the daily chart. So, for example, we've got the high there, break structure, low, lower high, maybe a pullback of this move to the 50%, which is kind of around there anyway, and then maybe a big drop to the downside. So that would be really nice for pound, but we'll see. We'll see. We've got Bank of England interest rates on Thursday as well, so that'll be interesting. And then looking on gold and silver, those markets are still bullish for me, even though I might be expecting a bit more USD strength. I'm still very bullish on gold and silver. With this one, let me actually go to Wanda. Is that Wanda? No, it was. So yeah, with gold, still looking at buys. It broke through the level I was looking to buy last week. So yeah, I'm still bullish, but the level I was looking to buy from is actually holding as resistance. So that is not where I'm focused right now. In fact, I would love to see a pullback all the way down here. Will it happen? Not too sure. But that is a really nice area. We've got a long-term trend line holding price up from there as well. So it would be really nice if you can push down and find some support there, find some buyers, and then, yeah, see where we can take gold next, because the trend is still looking very healthy, very strong to me. So I'll be expecting more upside regardless. And looking at silver as well, silver's actually testing a nice area. So I'm going to be looking to find some entries with silver early on. Slight reaction there to the upside. Looking to see maybe we can have one more push to the downside, because we haven't quite tagged the trend line yet, but it's in the vicinity. So if I connect the higher lows there, I'm looking for us to drop a little bit further, test that trend line, maybe wick through. That'd be really nice, and then get the buy.